kids are not like in bed at 8 o'clock at night. They are out with the parents. So whether they're in a stroller and mom's sipping a glass of wine with the stroller right there, the kids are out there. There's always a playground right across from like every strip of restaurants. This is part of their way of life, is that kids are a part of it.
It was really cool to like share with my close friends, and like I know some kids in who've never even left the state. Yeah, so I'm really lucky to be able to go to all these places.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Passport Diaries, a one-of-a-kind travel podcast by Travel Store that takes you to unique and off-the-beaten-path places all around the world. I'm Jackie Shern, your host, and on today's episode, we actually have 3 guests. We are joined by Cara Kobzeff, who is one of our travel experts, and she has brought her niece and nephew, Anna and Eli, who grew up traveling with Cara. So they've been to places as a family to like Jamaica and Fiji and France and Spain, and even lived abroad in Mexico during the pandemic. So it's really fun. We're going to get some great tips and tricks about traveling as a family and get a glimpse of what it is like to grow up traveling. Before we get into the interview, please take a second to subscribe to our YouTube channel or to our podcast on whatever platform you like to listen. And with that, let's grab our passports and go join Cara, Anna, and Eli.
We were there for 8 months, and it was crazy because we had to pivot with the pandemic, and not just not making any money, but refunding the money that we weren't making, Ooh. So things got to be a little hectic. And rather than be one of these people that was not paying rent and mortgage, I decided that I didn't want to fall into any financial trouble and said, okay, well, why don't we just look to maybe move somewhere temporarily to Mexico until travel and stuff starts to pick back up again and we start to make money. And so, looked at all the different places in Mexico and kind of decided that the Riviera Maya, like outside of Cancun, would be best, just due to all of the culture, the activities. And I think that Caribbean blue sea, turquoise water definitely played a part in the decision making.
Had you been to the actual place that you ended up moving before? Did you already know it?
No, not at all. I mean, we just looked online for an apartment. I kind of knew Playa del Carmen to an extent and thought that would be a nice place for us, but kind of midway between Cancun and Tulum so that we could still do the ruins and things like that, cenotes and such. So no, we didn't. We just kind of took a leap of faith, and it ended up really working out and being, turning a negative situation into a really positive experience for us all. Before that, we had been traveling as a family to we'd been to Cabo and we'd been to Jamaica a couple of times and Fiji. So we had done that, but this was the first long situation where we did that. And, just spent the whole time traveling around the region. We went from Playa del Carmen, where we lived for maybe 7 months. And then once the seaweed came in, that just takes away from a lot that you can do there. So once the seaweed came in, we decided to move to the Puerto Vallarta area. Then that was just a whole new adventure where we went deep sea fishing, and they got to catch skipjack tunas and dorados and needlefish.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Deep sea fishing, I was definitely not expecting to do that, but it was really fun.
We really weren't aware of, there's a lot of blood and guts that go flying around when you catch a fish.
Oh, it's I was so surprised.
So yeah, I'm not sure we would have been able to handle the big ones with the blood and guts, because the little ones, we were already okay.
We were already struggling with the little ones.
But it was just a really fun experience, and it was a fun way to kind of end our trip in Puerto Vallarta, because then after that we moved back to the U.S.
Now, before we leave Mexico, what were some of the other sites that you saw? You said something about cenotes?
Oh, yeah. We went to this, it was kind of like a water park where they had a whole bunch of cenotes you can go to, and a lagoon. And so it was really fun to dive into the cenotes and swim through all the tunnels. And we could jump off of a cliff into the cenotes. Oh. And it was just really fun to look at them and see all the features and stuff. There was thousands of them.
So there is a Ruta de Cenotes that's closer to Cancun, where it's one kind of highway or route And all on both sides, it's dotted with cenotes that are owned and operated by different people that have different things. So some of the cenotes you can swim and they connect underwater, underground with the stalagmites and stalactites. So you really get to see a whole different underworld.
And you can like swim through cenote to cenote.
And they have tours for that kind of thing where you can go with like a hard hat and a light. And some people will do like water inner tubing through them. There's caves and others you can kind of swim through them. But it's just this whole other world that, you know, even like 35 years ago when I first went to Cancun, there were no cenotes. Nobody knew of this. And then as they started to uncover everything, now it's just such a big part of the region and just a great, another great thing to explore while you're out there. And we made some friends there too. So they made friends with local kids and that went to school out there. We met people that they were French, owned a restaurant, made friends with them and their kid, and I'd go to eat and the kids would all go play. Yeah, he had a little girlfriend out there. It really, truly is a melting pot. So you've got a lot of immigrants from Italy, from Spain, Argentina, France. So they have got some great Italian restaurants, incredible gelato. I mean, we were having gelato daily in Mexico.
Gelato was
and then, of course, I mean, every day is like Taco Tuesday, you know?
Yes,
Tacos, burritos, tortas, like even they have different versions of tamales out there. So being there for the holidays, and we're Mexican, that's part of our heritage, you do tamales around Christmas time. And out there, they do pinochas and these other kind of things that they wrap up in a similar fashion and different meats and things like that. So, you know, we even kind of got to sample a little bit of that, and it was really good.
That it just sounds like, as you said, turning this kind of iffy situation into something that was really, really beneficial, and I want to say life-changing.
It was kind of hard at first because, like, we didn't really know the language, but then, like, we kind of started to make friends and connections.
No, it was really good, and it's interesting that when we think back about our time there, for me, it was pure survival. It was, how are we going to survive and make it together as a family? So it was a very different experience for me. But when I asked them, it was like the greatest thing that ever happened. You know, they don't see it as, they didn't see the struggle as much. You know, they saw it as, this is awesome. We're hanging out on the beach on the weekends.
Yeah, and like even during school, once we finished our like online meetings, we could just go to the pool. Or sometimes we'd be at the pool and be doing our online meetings there.
Remote work.
Remote
great.
work in Mexico.
Yes.
And picking up the language, you know, that was definitely a bonus to have just a little better, you know, handle of the language and knowing, you know, just some common phrases and words. And I was surprised at how quick Anna picked it up. And my mom was with us, and, you know, older, they just aren't willing to learn or try. And so I would find that Anna would walk to the taco stand, and she knew that she wanted her taco with nothing, plain with cheese. So she learned how to say, I just want meat and cheese only, and then knew how to order for Grandma and Eli that they wanted onions and they wanted cilantro and that sort of a thing. So that's how it all began, was just a preference of her not wanting anything in her food. She had to learn how to ask for it.
I think I know the answer to this question, but do you think it was more fun to learn the language if you were already planning on learning Spanish in school? Do you think this was the way to go?
Yeah, it was definitely fun to learn it there because, like, I was already doing, like, Duolingo and stuff, but then we went there and we, like, had to learn the language to, like, get around. And it was because, like, even if we weren't trying to learn, we would know, and just by, like, everyday pick up words and phrases.
Learning Spanish in school, you typically learn, like, the very kind of formal stuff.
We had no use for a big black cat or a woman in a red dress. We saw no women in red dress, no big black cat to discuss. So, you know.
Yeah, because it was our very elegante, very elegant.
An elegant woman in a red dress.
So then let's jump over to some of the other places you've been.
Our first really big trip was Jamaica, and it was just like to meet all like the Jamaican people, and like we had an all-inclusive, so like the people were just really nice to us, and the resort, our hotel we stayed at, had a really cool kids club.
Yeah, I think I went to pick her up, and she had high heels on, a feather boa, a princess tiara, and I was like, "Whoa, look at this! Where are we going tonight?" And Eli, I just remember there was like water slides. He would like go up the water slide, come out of the water slide, and right to the left of the water slide was the soft serve with the ice cream cone and nachos. So I was like, okay, slide, nachos, cone, slide. Like, you know.
Yeah. The water slides there was awesome. They had a lot of stuff for kids, but then they had like a lot of options for the adults. So like they could go on and have fun while we were at the kids club.
We had a fun pirate island. I think like I had this bucket that would fill above your head and then dump on you.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was just really neat, like funny little things for us.
Yeah.
And also just, you know, you get to try the Jamaican foods. They were kind of having jerk sausages and beef patties.
The beef patties were so good there.
Yeah.
Like real Jamaican beef patties.
Is it kind of like a ground beef situation?
Yeah, it's like usually like ground beef. Sometimes they'll put a little bit of veggies in there.
In a pastry.
And like, yeah.
Kind of like an empanada. Just so good. Yeah, they do sell them at Costco, but they're not the same.
They're not the same. After going to Jamaica and having real Jamaican beef patties, it's like Jamaica was my first time that I really started to swim, and I enjoyed snorkeling. I was too scared. Eli was really young and too scared.
I'm picking up that you guys gravitate towards water sports.
And I think like we're really big fans of like the David Attenborough documentaries, like Planet Earth and the, you know, underwater documentaries, all of that stuff we really love to watch as a family together. I have a feeling that one day when we get on a safari, this is all going to change from being underwater to when are we going back on a safari, right? But it is really cool that like, I mean, especially when we moved over to Fiji and them having just, for me, the best underwater wildlife experience would be like Fiji and the Maldives. But in Fiji, like it was just so accessible, and to swim with like her, and within seconds of being in the water, we saw like 2 sea turtles, stingrays, a couple of sharks, reef sharks, like, you know, and we had a GoPro, and it was like, she had the same reaction that I did my first time seeing a shark underwater, is that it was so calm, and you realize like, hey, they're not here for me. They're up going about their day looking for their breakfast.
Yeah, I was like really, when she said we might see sharks, I was really scared. But when then I saw one, like, it just like pretended we weren't there. Like, it just like was swimming along.
Like we were following after it so we could get better footage. Like all the smart people do, right? With kids.
Chasing a shark.
Chasing a shark. Hey, come back here.
Go back here.
This is how every Shark Eat movie starts. Like, ooh, that's cute.
Yeah. We had to get the shot there, right? We're doing it for the gram. And also what was cool is that, you know, in Fiji, they pretty much film Survivor there all the time now. So they were actually filming Survivor where we were snorkeling right off the island. So we could see like, you know, the tribal council all set up, and you could kind of see they had like different courses and things. So it was kind of neat to see also like production happening in the literal middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And here we are snorkeling with sharks and things like that, you know. The other cool thing that I had to bring up, they did in Fiji, they're so big on the environment there, and they really take care of the place they live. And then, you know, all of everything they give you is like pure Fiji, like sunscreen, bug spray, all this stuff. So it's very, very safe for the environment. Something that they offer to guests, and kids are people that really love it, is they plant coral gardens to keep their reef going. And so these kids got to take part in planting a coral garden there that's going to be helping that reef. It's going to help the island stay, because the reef stops the sand and everything from eroding. So, you know, leaving our mark in a place that we love so much, and seeing that this is what they do with all their guests, like, so that you're playing a part in, you know, their, you know, saving of the island. And what about in Fiji when you guys got to learn the local dances and got dressed up as warriors and stuff?
Oh, yeah. It was kind of like, so there was a really cool kids club there, and like we would hang out there, and like during the day we'd like do all these fun dances and stuff, and then at night Auntie and the parents would come, and we'd like dress up and like have cool dances and stuff.
You know, the boys loved putting on like the grass skirts, and they had the war paint and all. You know, it was really cool.
Yeah.
The Fijians are really well known for loving children. Like their society is that children should be heard and seen. Whereas most other places is seen and not heard. They're very interested in what kids have to say. They're very interested in, piquing their interest and their imagination out there. And most really great resorts come with a nanny for free included. A lot will be one per kid. So I got a little break and I got to experience having a Fijian nanny. And I can tell you, every child, when they leave any island you go to in Fiji, they are bawling to leave their Fijian friends and nannies, because they take such good care of you and they really listen to you and teach you about their culture and things about them. And it's really warm. So being on that flight, we're in the middle section, 4 row, and this nice Fijian lady sits in our row. And food service comes. What does she do? She's cutting up his food for him. She's cutting up her food. Here's a piece of gum. I mean, this is just who they are.
Auntie was sleeping and she was like talking with us.
Yeah. I remember her. And we didn't even, this is just a random person on the flight, but that's just who they are. They live in a community and they raise people in a community. Like it's multi-generational, multi-familial, like that's how they live and that's what they share with you when you come. So I've been to Fiji 3 times now and there's a reason I keep coming back. It's the bula, the love. It's just everything,
Yeah, I really want to go back there. It was so nice, and the water was so clear, and I love to snorkel there.
I know after that she said she wanted to maybe scuba dive one day.
Yeah, that's what it was. I wanted to maybe go scuba diving. When we went to Fiji, I think it was when we left. They made me a custom made wooden spear with my name carved on it, and then and her friend's kid got one too. Yeah,
we got one for him too. He's got a cool Fijian spear,
And then I got a cool little bracelet.
She got a lot of jewelry with the Fijian flowers, and I just feel like Fiji. It's probably what Hawaii was in the 50s and 60s before American tourism really took over. I imagine that this is what that was like as far as the hospitality and the warmth and, the fact that their culture is their own. It's not mixed with anything else. They are just Fijian and, it's a great place for parents to get a break, but also to really be blown away by what their kids can do on their own. And there's an air of confidence that I noticed that kids from my first day watching them in Fiji to their 4th or 5th day. I remember a little toddler. He was kind of quiet, wasn't doing much first couple of days. And by day 3, I saw him grab his little flippers. He was going to go swim in the water. He grabbed his flippers. He had his snorkel and he just marched off. And I looked and then I saw his Fijian nanny and I go, well, look at him. And she goes, he knows what he wants. And it was just and I just looked at her and I was like, you did that. You did that, and it was just about them saying, you can do this. And you grab your things and I'm going to come with you. And I watched it and I just, and then I watched it happen with them and how.
I think the first few days, Eli didn't really want to go snorkeling, but I think the last day he went with us because we took this little boat and went in deep sea snorkeling with life jackets and everything. I think he might have went on that with us.
He stayed on the boat.
He
stayed on the boat, but he went.
He went, but he stayed on the boat.
He really honed his snorkeling, I think, in Cancun. He was just out there with he
still has his.
Yeah, he got a really nice, fancy, snorkel mask from Santa down there. Who knows? Santa knows where you are in Mexico, too.
Yeah.
He came.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was like, he came. So, yeah, they're into it.
Yeah,
so.
It was really nice.
Okay, so then where next?
We went to Paris for our first time. And, normally, as a family, we're always conscious of a budget and, and the activities. So I generally will sometimes scale the hotel back so that I can afford to really go out on the fun stuff. But Paris is one of these destinations where you stay matters.
It really
the
does.
Hotel matters. So, of course, in Paris, I had to extend the Dorchester collection. The Le Maurice Hotel is where we got to stay, which is just one of the most iconic palais in all of Paris, right across the street from the Tuileries Gallery and the Louvre Museum. just the most amazing place. I mean, there's literally like rap songs written about this hotel. Like, it is the spot.
It is so amazing.
It's beyond. And so we got that really unbelievable, entrance to this hotel. And it's like Salvador Dali, like restaurant with this art that it's gold and it's really fancy. So, we showed up there, and as soon as we walked in, they knew who we were. And the kids were like,
we had our own chauffeur guy that opened the door for us and locked us in.
But when you go to a luxury hotel, they know they don't know who I was by my face, but by who's arriving and what time. They know who you should be. So they immediately greet us by our names and, take us up to this room where there's photos of us in the room.
Yeah, they had photos of us, and like they had little gifts on the bed and like a custom welcome to your room.
Then it was fun tips for what to do in Paris for a kid.
Yeah.
Like a little booklet, and they have a passport in there that you can go and get stamped.
Oh, they have, a little passport, and you can go to the different attractions all over Paris and get
and they have a special stamp that's, for the kids and stuff. So, we've got that. We get in there and they're like, oh my gosh, they open the balcony. We have a view of the Eiffel Tower. I mean, it was everything that you would expect, like out of a movie. Then the next day we had them do a breakfast for us at their sister property, the Plaza Athénée. And because I really wanted them to experience that place as well.
So amazing.
And that's where they experienced the most, like, when you have breakfast in a 2 to 3 Michelin star restaurant, it's going to look like a 2 to 3 Michelin star restaurant you're in with chandeliers.
I can't get over the hot chocolate there. It was like they took a really nice chocolate bar, melted it down, and put it into the cup. It was just like pure chocolate. It was so amazing.
Hot chocolate for the kids, the most incredible pastry basket you've ever seen.
Chocolate pastries, regular croissants. Because you can't go to Paris without getting a croissant.
Obvi. And then I wanted them to see the hotel because I think it's really important for kids to see how big you can go in life, how people do live, how does a 1% live. So we took them into the Haute Couture suite at the Plaza Athénée, which is like, 15,000, 20,000 euro a night hotel room. No big deal. But that's an attainable thing. So you've got to know and see had a piano in it. It's from, it was used in filming for like Emily in Paris and things like that. So they got to experience that. And then waiting outside for us after breakfast was a retro sidecar tour of Paris. So 4 motorcycles with sidecars. I mean, I've been to Paris a million times, but that vantage point, like from being on the motorcycle, weaving through traffic, not only that, but everybody, everywhere you go, is like pulling out their phones, taking pictures and videos of you.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're like a celebrity.
I felt like a celebrity. There was just people videoing it because it was just really nice.
It was cool.
Smile and wave.
So I recommend that for all my clients. I mean, and the funny thing is you can even fit a guy who's like 6'4", 6'5", like, 250 pounds can fit in this sidecar. Yeah, like so I say to people, 6'7", you can fit, It was great. And I've, ever since doing it, I've just been booking it for so many of my clients and them all saying, hey, this is awesome. And
they have this Space Invader game, how they like printed Space Invader
this is cool.
characters on the walls, and then they give you an app.
Yeah, so it was street art. That was the Space Invaders, the video game.
Yeah.
So if you saw street art on the wall of the Space Invaders, you'd pull out the app and it was kind of like a Pokemon, kind of like a game in Paris. So there was like something like 2,500 of these all over Paris.
Yeah.
And the guy on the sidecar is the one that told us. So that's the type of tour guide you need, a guy that says, hey, you got the app? Because when we go around, there's going to be this street art and, you're going to kind of capture them all. So they were constantly really cool. Looking and trying to find something new, seeking something.
And he was pointing, like, if we missed it, he pointed it out to us. And, like, all the buildings in Paris were so cool.
Beautiful, Haussmann style. They'd never seen that. We live in, it's just mixed. You've got high rises, you've got Mediterranean home, Spanish style, like we have every style here. And so it's so nice to go somewhere where it's uniform and where everything is fresh.
And then just to see the one Eiffel Tower sticking out.
The other thing that I thought was really, really good that we did and we never done before was a family photo shoot.
Oh, that was because we got a professional photographer and we took a photo shoot. Like,
we had some pictures in that under that famous bridge from Inception, and then pictures on the bridge, like on kind of over the bridge on the water, and then the kids had their own single solo photos, and it was just really nice to have a picture with grandma, auntie, and the two kids having kind of 3 generations. Took care of the Christmas card for that year. Didn't have to worry about that, you know, and it's just nice to have that memory and have it not be a selfie, you know?
Yeah, it was really fun.
It was really worth it to do that. And that's another thing I recommend to everybody, just to capture that moment and get dressed up for it so that you have something really special to remember it by.
There was something else in France.
Oh, yeah. We went to Lourdes in France, which is,
Yes.
yeah, really great. Like, it's known to be a religious kind of a pilgrimage spot with this water that's healing and blessed and all that kind of thing. And we went to a pizza restaurant that I had eaten at before with my grandfather, and I just remember it was good pizza.
It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there. We all ordered our food, and that was actually the first time the kids saw French kids at a table next to us drinking wine that were like 7 or 8 years old.
And it was like, and I was so surprised. I was like, are they allowed to do that? But it's like part of their culture.
Part of their culture.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we ordered a variety of pizzas, and one of the pizzas we ordered was something he had never had before. Do you remember that pizza, Eli?
Do you remember the pizza?
I forgot what it was called.
But it was a white
It was a
pizza.
white pizza.
And now every time we get pizza, he's like, do they have that pizza?
Anywhere we go, do they have that pizza here? And I'm like, from little tiny commune in France? No, they don't have it here. That's one of the things about traveling, for me at least, is that I taste these foods that I can't get out of my head. And then
Yes.
You taste the same food, but like the tomatoes, it's I can't describe it. It just tastes different, you know?
And
Yeah.
that, my friends, is why I am a chronic repeater of destinations. You won't find me going to a new place on every trip. I am maybe 1 to 2 new places a year, and the rest are repeating greatest hits. I'm a big fan of the greatest hits album. That being said, that's how you become an expert in an area.
Yeah.
By going again and again, right? We definitely, France had some incredible food for us. And I know Eli was really enjoying all of the French sauces. He loves his hollandaise sauce, but the béarnaise sauce with his steak frites, he made it a steak soup.
At the end, he was like, the whole like carton of it, he was like,
Of béarnaise. He asked me to put it in my purse.
Yes. Yes, Eli. That is the best compliment to that chef.
And my grandma, I think, or my mom cried at that meal because it was so good.
Because it was so good. And then she went and like kissed the chef.
They invited her to the kitchen and the chef kissed her. So
Oh.
very sweet, very sweet. But that, that's how it is. And I think when they see Americans that come who really enjoy their food, and also kids that aren't super picky, even though mine kind of are.
And he immediately knew. He was like, steak frites, before we even told him.
He knew. He's like, kids, they're getting steak frites here. There was no chicken nuggets on the menu. So we kind of knew that's where we were going. When the French see good eaters, they love it. That they see people like cleaning that plate and they're just like, it's like you get that nod of respect as a parent. They're like, good job there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This one's gonna make it.
Yeah, they're gonna do all right.
I feel like it kind of helped me with like my manners and stuff too, being polite, at these really nice restaurants.
She wanted to be on her best behavior and she wanted to fit in, and I think when you're in those situations, you realize, oh, this is what I've been learning all this stuff for. And it's like, your time is now, soldier. Let's go. It was great just to go from one part of France that's super glitzy, super fancy, to another part that's just more chill and more pilgrims and sick people coming in, with hopes that they're going to get better and stuff. So it was interesting. There was a presence there. There's definitely a presence, a feeling. There's at points it was even emotional. And then when you see all the other people like showing up, and coming for their different reasons. It's really interesting. And over the years, I've heard so many great stories. I mean, I had a friend whose mother went with their church there. And back in the time, they used to do submerge in the water. When she submerged and came out, she was completely dry. So that's her story, is I came out and there was no water on me.
These are actual goosebumps.
That's what it's like. And for me, I mean, at one chapel, it was very cold to me. It was really,
same with me.
I found it hard to breathe in there.
But it really depends on where you went, because in the one chapel, it was like cold, chilly, kind of hard to breathe. But then we went to this other one, and I immediately felt like warmth and like
love, like a weird, like, and we're not religious by any means, like it, but you know, spirituality and stuff that you can connect with and feel, and it was palpable, like to feel that connection. And it could be that, you know, this is where the saint was. This is where she was kind of interred or whatever for some period of time. But you know, I sat there and I felt something in my heart, and I turned to the person behind me and I asked if they felt it, and they both pointed to their chest, to their heart as well. So I was like, okay, this is a thing, you know. And it was very peaceful. It was wonderful. And you know, both times now that I've visited, I did feel that experience, and it was really great. So it was nice to share with them and just be in a totally different place, you know.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to Spain.
San Sebastian. It's one of my favorite places. I've been several times. And then I did the ancestry.com, and it turns out I'm 4% Basque. So that must be my connection, the good part of me. And then as it turns out, I think he's like 10 or 12% Basque, which is such a small part of the world, you know. And then same with her. She's got a bit of it too. So maybe that, 8%. So maybe that's why we felt connected. But we went there mostly for the food. And the funny thing is there's this one restaurant there called Bar Nestor, and they're known for the Spanish tortilla, the tortilla española, which they make twice a day. They only make 2 of them. And then they're known for these tomatoes, these padron peppers that are like, we call them shishitos here, right? And then the steak. And so I knew that on the Sunday we were going, that they were only going to be open from like 1 until 3:30. And that if I was going to get tortilla that day, like we had to be there by 12 to get in line for the tortilla. So we like took the early train from Lourdes, got a day trip driver to pick us up at some train station an hour away, drove us to San Sebastian just so we could get to this restaurant to get the tortilla. And we got there, and the guy knew me. He goes, I go, is there any tortilla left? And he goes, no, you're late. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He goes, just sit down. So we kind of sit at a table. He managed to pull us 2 pieces. It was the greatest thing ever, because this place is known to have the best ones. So we started there. We had that. And then he says, oh, are you guys having steak today? We're like, duh. So then what happened with the steak?
He pulled it out, and he pulled out like 3. And then he said, which one do you want? And
He pulled out 3 raw steaks.
Like big, thick.
Thick steaks, and we gotta choose which one we wanted.
And they choose the biggest one, obviously.
Yeah, we chose the biggest one. And everybody was in jackets because it was cold weather. And
Eli just was taking the steak down to the point that he was chewing on the bone at the end. And I've got this photo and video of him chewing this bone. He's in a t-shirt. Everybody around is in a parka, a sweater, a scarf, and it's because he had the meat sweats. He literally went
they were looking at him like...
in a short sleeve shirt. It's March, it's cold, and he's got the meat sweats, and he's just putting this steak down. It was really fun. And then one of our partners out there is one of the top, well, she's like the top tour guide in town, but she does a pincho crawl, which is like a tapas bar crawl, because in the north they call tapas pinchos. And so you do a pincho crawl from bar to bar, and with her, and her tour is in the top 10 food tours in the world.
Oh.
She took us casually just because we're friends now, and she took us to one spot that was owned by a famous boxer, and they're really well known for kind of like a shrimp tempura, like a fried shrimp pincho. So, you know, we start there and move on to the next, and they're like, not used to eating one thing at a restaurant and then going.
Like one shrimp.
And then move on to the next, right? And so they got to kind of experience that with her too, of just going from one place to the next, sampling some fun bites. And you just make friends there, because when you're in Spain and you're in a place like San Sebastian, it's so small and compact, and you're in these bars that you push up next to someone and you're touching them. Like, if I'm touching you in your elbow, we've got to talk. So it fosters conversation with locals, with tourists, with everybody. So you start talking, and then, hey, what is that you're eating? Oh, I got the da-da-da. Have you tried this yet? Now I'm taking a bite off of their plate. They're taking a bite off of mine. And my experience is 50 million times better than it would have ever been if it was just the three of us, like, talking about boring stuff, because we don't have anything new to share, And I found, like, for honeymooners too, that sometimes they say, like, man, I mean, we love each other, but, like, we're kind of bored talking to each other the whole time. It's nice to be at a fancy restaurant, but then it's just me and you looking at each other again, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you sent us on this tour and we're talking to everybody. We're talking to the waiters. We're talking to random strangers. Now we're making plans to do the same thing tomorrow night. And so they're like, they were excited. And that was something that they wanted to share with all their friends when they came back, was like, oh, we met these people and we went out to dinner, because that makes it more fun. It's, the more the merrier, right?
That kind of connects to something else that you said about Spain and France, which is you felt comfortable letting your kids kind of wander a little bit with a little less oversight, because people and the culture are there for each other, and it's felt safe.
It's a really safe community. Like, we could just walk out of our apartment and go, is the McDonald's open? Or, like, go to the bakery, get some pastries.
When you're in Spain, kids are not, like, in bed at 8:00 at night. They are out with the parents. So whether they're in a stroller and mom's sipping a glass of wine with the stroller right there, or the kids are kicking a soccer ball in the plaza with a bunch of other kids, like, the kids are out there. There's always a playground right across from, like, every strip of restaurants. This is part of their way of life, is that kids are a part of it. Like, we go to dinner together. We go and do things together, where it's not, kids aren't allowed. And that's in France too. Kids are allowed everywhere, Michelin star restaurants, everything. You'll catch kids of all ages. So it was really great to just know that it's a small town, and once we walked, they knew where everything was. Yeah. And I could be like, yeah, sure, go down to the beach and do this, or go over here and do that. And I knew that they were going to be safe, because that community won't stand for anything else, It
was really fun to, like, talk to my classmates and stuff about it. But, like, a lot of them don't believe me. But, like, it was really cool to, like, share with my close friends and, like, tell them about, like, the community and stuff.
I did have to let her know all the time, hey, Anna, it's like 4:00 in the morning back at home. You can't call them right now and tell them this.
Oh, yeah. I kept forgetting we're 7 hours ahead. I know some kids who've never even left the state, and they're like, so I'm just really lucky to be able to go to all these places.
So I definitely think we've got some interest in study abroad here. I definitely think both would consider Italy, France, Spain, as something that they'd want to do and want to try to live just the same way we did in Mexico, and it can only be great things for you. The more people that you meet, the more cultures you learn about, things that you know.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode, and thank you especially to Cara, Anna, and Eli for sharing all of those stories with us and for telling us what it means to them to be able to travel the world together as a family. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love it if you shared it with your friends and family, and let us know what you're interested in hearing more about. We have experts in literally every country around the world and in every field of travel, and everybody has amazing stories to share. So let us know what you're interested in hearing more about. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or to our podcast wherever you like to listen, so you can keep collecting new stamps for your podcast passport. Until next time, safe travels from all of us here at Travel Store.